This circuit starts off with side plank with rotation. We're gonna do 10 repetitions each side. On a side plank, you wanna make sure that your elbow is directly underneath your shoulder. I have feet stacked here. Our eyes are gonna meet up with our hand, which tops out in line with the shoulder. And then we reach underneath the stomach and then open back up again. Doing the same thing on this side for 10 reps each side. A modification to this, if positioning yourself on your feet and on your elbow or forearm is too much, you can go on the elbow, forearm, and the knees. The knees can be bent, and you can go from that position. Next, we're going to glute bridge with march out. So I have my heels down on the mat, extended my hips up by activating my glutes, by squeezing my glutes and keeping my spine neutral. And my goal here, as I alternate a knee punch with the right leg and the left leg, is to try to prevent my hips from tilting side to side. I also want to maintain that hip extension, try not to drop down, but keep a straight line between the hip and the knee. After 20 of those, I'm going to go back to my second round of side plank. Again, setting up elbow underneath the shoulder, feet stacked, reaching up high, coming down underneath the abs, eyes following hand. So I get that rotation in there. Another set of 10 repetitions on one side. And then switching over to 10 repetitions on the other side. Same setup. Elbow directly under shoulder, feet stacked, hips raised up to the ceiling. Contracting my right side abdominal wall on this one. Obliques. And then going into my final set or second set of glute bridge, heels down, toes up, hips up, spine neutral, abs braced tight. 20 of these march outs. So 10 each side. Driving the knee to the chest, holding the hips up in extension, so I'm using my glutes for that. Keeping my abdominal wall braced. Once those 2 rounds are completed, I'm going to go now into the following 3 exercises for 2 rounds, starting off with jumping jack squats. On these, I'm going to go out nice and wide. When my legs go wide, I drop down into a squat, sitting back into my hips, and then I bring my feet back to a narrow stance position. Again, making sure I'm sitting back into my hips, keeping my knees flexed, flex slightly on adduction, and of course flexed when going out wide. The second exercise in this rotation is airplanes, keeping my elbows locked, squeezing my shoulder blades, and extending my arms out to the sides in order to raise the weight. I'm going to do 10 repetitions here. Set the weights down and then go to mountain climbers for 30 seconds. So I'm going to set myself up in a push-up position. Make sure that wrists are directly underneath the elbows, which are directly underneath the shoulders, keeping my back nice and flat. I'm driving my knee just to the point of about my belly button height. That's about 9 degrees of flexion. And then I'm extending back forcefully again through the hips, landing on the ball of the foot. And your goal is to try to keep your back nice and still, not bouncing up and down with this. Imagining someone set a plate on your back and you don't want it to fly off. So 30 seconds of mountain climber, and then I'm going to start that rotation all over again with the jumping jack squats. Here's a side view, 20 repetitions. Here we go. All right, again, after 20 jumping jack squats, we're going into airplanes for a second set of 10 repetitions here. So again, you set up by hinging first at the hips, keeping that spine neutral, core braced, and you're squeezing those shoulder blades to move that weight, the arms in the lock position. Coming down under control, good squeeze at the top and then down under control. 10 repetitions. All right, finally, we're going to finish this out with mountain climbers for 30 seconds again before we hit the actual strength circuit. So once again, I'm set up, wrists under elbows, under shoulders, back nice and flat, abs activated, driving the knee to about 90 degrees, extending back, using those glutes to do so, landing on the ball of the foot, and just driving that out for 30 seconds. All right, so that completes the pre-strength circuit portion. Now we're going into the lifts. The first combination is going to be dumbbell Romanian deadlift. We're going 10 repetitions, and we're going to superset that or immediately follow it with dumbbell swings. So in the dumbbell Romanian deadlift, weights are in your hands. This is a hinging mechanic, so my knees are slightly flexed. I'm going to push my hips back, keeping my spine in that neutral position. I don't want to arch my back. I don't want to go into a kyphotic posture. I just want to basically take a ride along my hips with a neutral spine. Once done there, we're going immediately into dumbbell swings. You want to get a good solid grip around this dumbbell so it doesn't go flying across the room. So I grip my fingers and wrap them around underneath the top of the bell and start with a hinge mechanic. So once again, slight bend in the knees and then in the hips, and I forcefully extend at the hips, at the knees, essentially driving those heels down to move that weight. So the weight goes into a pendulous action, which is initiated by me forcefully extending my hips open, not pulling the weight with my arms, but relying on that powerful hip extension to move the weight. So about 30 seconds, set the weight down, take a quick breather, then I'm gonna go right back into that second set out of three sets of 10 of Romanian deadlift. So once again, knees are set, slightly flexed, and then all the work is done at the hips. Pushing the hips back into closure and opening them back up for 10 repetitions. Then back again to dumbbell swings for the second time. You can get a good grip around that bell. If you have a kettlebell at home, that will be great to use as well. I have a friend who does not have either and likes to use a cast iron skillet. As long as your object doesn't go flying across the room, you're good to go. Again, 30 seconds there. Take a little breather. And then we'll set up for the third and final round. Dumbbell Romanian deadlift for 10. Notice I'm keeping the dumbbell high to the thighs, so I'm not adding an additional squat maneuver in there. I'm gonna keep that implement close to the hips. And just basically swing it in, swing it out. That completes the dumbbell Romanian deadlift and dumbbell swing combo. Now I'm going into shoulder press. So vertical press, we're doing 10 repetitions. I'm gonna start in that 90-degree bend posture, elbows in line with shoulders. Exhaling as I press the weight overhead, inhaling as I lower it down under control. 10 repetitions, and I'm going to superset or immediately follow this move with a line hop. So you have an imaginary line, unless you actually want to draw a line on your floor. I'm going forward and backward for 30 seconds. Keeping my feet together, I'm light and springy on the balls of my feet with flexed ankles, knees, and hips. Take a breather. Now going into round 2 of dumbbell shoulder press times 10. After a brief break here. Another set of 10 repetitions, followed by a second set of 4 backward line hops for 30 seconds. Taking another brief break, followed by third and final set of our vertical push. This is dumbbell shoulder press for 10 repetitions. Here, just have a side view, showing how knees are not locked out, keeping shoulders tall, and done there. And one more round of line hops for 30 seconds. Again, you've got that imaginary line on the floor, but if you need a visual, you could set a piece of string down or tape, something that's not going to permanently mark or damage your flooring. All right, taking a quick breather here. And then the third and final combination. After our leg, our push, we're now going into pulls. So this will be a dumbbell bent over row for 10 repetitions. So again, I'm going to start in that hinge position with knees bent, hips flexed. Pull the weight towards my chest by drawing my shoulder blades together, pulling the elbows back, and then I'm lowering down nice and slow and controlled. So this is working posterior shoulder blade muscles here. And then another imaginary line. Now I have line hops, side to side or lateral line hops for 30 seconds. So again, imaginary line, I'm jumping over it with both feet, landing soft on the balls of the feet, ankles flexed, knees slightly flexed, and hips flexed to absorb the landing for 30 seconds. All right, once 30 seconds subsides, take another breather. In these circuits, I generally take about 30 seconds or less rest and then go right into the next combination. If you need to take more rest, please do. Just make sure that you pair the two exercises back to back and then take a little longer rest in between before you start the second round and before starting the third round. About 60 to 90 seconds maximum, depending on your level of fitness, ought to give you enough of a rest to start the next round successfully. Second round done. Taking a breather. And then into the third round of 10 repetitions of a dumbbell bent over row.